Today I'm going to be taking a look at episodes that make your skin crawl, episodes that make you feel uncomfortable, and episodes that are hard to watch. This video is the top 10 most disturbing cartoon episodes ever made. If you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite games, movies, and shows with like-minded people, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's finally take a look at the most disturbing episodes. I usually watch Tom and Jerry for the slapstick comedy. I really enjoy watching Tom just run around trying to get Jerry as they fight each other. Sometimes the dog is there, and they just beat the ever-living shit out of each other. It's always a good time. It was one of my go-tos growing up, but seeing the episode Blue Cat Blues was one of the saddest experiences of my life. There's something really disturbing about opening a cartoon that's supposed to be a little bit whimsical, a little bit fun, and is supposed to make you laugh with the sentence, "In a few minutes it'll all be over," as we pan to Tom sitting on train tracks, looking more depressed than I've ever seen him. Jerry then says that he'll finally be happy since the first time I met him. That paints a really horrible picture right away of the mental state that Tom is in this episode, and we get to experience why he is feeling this way. And it's not even a good moral. I guess you could take the lesson of it to not put all of your value in something that you love, just one thing, and cling on to that one thing. But God, you just watch the entire world just shit all over Tom just for feeling a little bit of love. Should he have quit while he was ahead? Yeah, but dear Lord, he didn't deserve this. So Tom and Jerry are enjoying themselves, just having a little bit of bro time, sipping some lemonade. They've clearly moved past their rivalry here. Jerry is just being a true friend to him. But Tom sees the ultimate babe, the ultimate pussy slayer, if you catch my drift. He sees the finest cat in town walking down the block, and he immediately feels a connection, a romance, a passion never before seen.
He'd flip his lid. And he did.
And he wants that girl real bad. So he starts pursuing her, rizzing her up, trying his best to make her fall in love. But that is when we meet Butch, aka Pussy Slayer 5000. And once again, Pussy works both ways here. He's another cat, and he just immediately swoops this woman up, starts passionately kissing her. He didn't even have to talk to her. He didn't have to do anything yet. He just was instantly worthy of some good old-fashioned smooching. So Tom, he feels like he needs to earn her back, and he starts trying everything that he can. But he is just not that guy. He tries to get her flowers, Butch has already beat him to the punch. He tries to get her perfume, Butch has already beat him to the punch. He tries everything he possibly can. I think one of the darkest aspects, I mean, it's just so real, in a sense, of what it's like to buy anything in the modern day, where Tom, being all like, how could I possibly get this woman? What could I need to get her? So he signs a 312-month car lease for 112% interest. That's just slavery at that point. That's pretty bad. I can't fathom that. He pulls up in his rinkety-dink car. It looks pretty nice, but Butch, Pussy Slayer 5000, he has a car that stretches hundreds of feet wide. Tom can't even compete. And then we get to see something so dark for this character, where it's just Jerry saying, and that's when Tom started drinking. And he just starts drinking glass of milk after milk after milk after milk. I'm assuming it's the deepest, like 3% leche here. And Tom is just drinking himself away, becoming a different person as he tries to float away in the gutter. Jerry saves him again. And that is when Tom sees that the ultimate babe, the ultimate puss, has gotten married to Butch. And so Tom is sitting there just laying on the train tracks waiting for it all to end. And then Jerry, this was a really bad time for him to do that, because Jerry's the narrator, by the way. I should have prefaced that. But he's sitting there and he's like, poor Tom. Poor old Tommy boy, oh God. At least I have a girl that loves me. A girl that needs me. She'll never throw me away. As he starts passionately kissing the photo of the woman he loves right above the dude who is about to die. That's pretty baffling. And then he sees that his girl also got married to, I don't know, Mousesy Slayer 5000. And so now Jerry goes down with Tom to also end his own life. And that is such a sad way to end this episode. Obviously, the moral here isn't to put all of your cards on one table, all of your chips just out, going all in on one thing. And it's just so sad because this genuinely is somebody's life. Somebody put so much focus onto one thing, whether it was a girl, whether it was a job, and when they lost it, when it all collapsed, they has nothing. And this could have been the result. And that's very sad. Maybe that's the lesson they're trying to teach you here, but it doesn't change how disturbing this episode really is. Now taking a look at what some consider to be one of the freakiest cartoons ever made, Mr. Meaty, specifically the Tapeworm episode. Now this episode, it kind of always haunted me. I watched Mr. Meaty a while back, but I didn't watch this episode, and everybody was like, you didn't get the full experience because you didn't watch the Tapeworm episode. And I never went back because everybody described it as very abhorrent, very disturbing, and just outright life-changing. And I'm gonna be the judge of that. So the episode opens with Parker, a big old meaty, thick puppet man, just going around eating and mooching things off of people, just mooching everything, biting people's sandwiches, slobbering on a donut, just taking it all.
I couldn't possibly.
Slobbering on some grapes. He is eating everything that he could get his hands on, and eventually he gets too dirty with it. He gets too adventurous because he starts mooching to the extreme when he sees some raw meat and just starts gobbling down raw meat, eating hamburgers, and then eventually he goes to eat some raw chicken. And that's when he goes to take a bite and his food just completely and utterly disappears. It vanishes. It's gone. What could be the cause of this? It's such a pickle. So he keeps on trying to eat things and it just keeps on vanishing. So his friend records him, and that's when we get to see the tapeworm. And it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it does make your skin crawl just a little bit as you watch this worm just, slide up a man's esophagus all the way out and steal its food. I think the worst of it is when they try to get it out, they lure it with a big old sausage, a big old pork patty, something that looks so luscious and thick and meaty, and so his friend throws a fishing rod, a fishing hook down his esophagus, reels the worm out, pulls him, yanks him on out of there, and the worm just starts freaking out, just going everywhere, trying to strangle him. And they did a great job of making a puppet worm look vicious, disturbing, and haunting. I would not want this thing to lusciously touch me, that's for sure. And just what's the cherry on top of it all after I watch this disgusting little worm get captured is a man walks in. I can't tell if he's supposed to be a Stephen Irwin parody. Maybe I'm just, ethically, I need to be ethically... I'm failing every quick time event. I need to be ethnically cleansed because an Australian walks in, so I just assume Steve Irwin. He's like, crikey, is that a tapeworm? Oh, I need that in my body right now. And so he just grabs the worm and just lets it crawl up inside of him. Beautiful. Wonderful. Exquisite. So, definitely not the most disturbing thing I've seen, definitely not the worst thing on this list, but I will say just the visual of this tapeworm and the thought of the tapeworm is inherently very disturbing. So yeah, not a big fan of that, but it's definitely not the worst thing on the list. The SpongeBob episode One Course Meal tends to be a little bit controversial because it does dive into some deeper themes and messaging that are a little bit disturbing. The episode kind of opens like any normal day at the Krusty Krab, just Mr. Krabs bathing in some money like, money, I'm gonna bust. Like he's literally sounds like he's moaning in there about to just get it done. And so lucky for us, Plankton bombs the Krusty Krab, maybe unlucky if some people like their crab a little bit well done, if you get what I mean, to each their own, but he bombs it. Mr. Krabs says to stop his freak bath. He gets out of there, and that is when him and SpongeBob have to stop Plankton from trying to get the formula. Plankton, he's sitting on the floor after being defeated, and he smells. He gets a little bit of a whiff, something he doesn't like. A pheromone enters his nostrils. Blubber. And that is when Pearl, the big old daughter, the big sperm whale daughter of Mr. Krabs, walks in going, "Daddy, I need some money." You know, just being a swine, something that you wouldn't really want in your life, just trying to rob you of every single cent that you have. And that is when Plankton is petrified, he's terrified, because apparently his entire family was eaten by whales, because whales eat plankton, except for one thing that is an interesting detail. Pearl is a sperm whale. A sperm whale does not eat plankton. If anybody should be worried, it should be the guy who goes, "I just love playing my clarinet at the Krusty Krab. Is that a fucking sperm whale?" That should have been more accurate. That would have been more canonically accurate to what sperm whales are about and what sperm whales would do to cephalopods, which in this case is Squidward. But either way, Plankton is terrified, he runs away, and that's when Mr. Krabs gets the bright idea, just sitting there going, "Mental torture, PTSD of losing your entire family." And so he dresses up as Pearl and starts harassing Plankton, sneaking into the chum bucket and acting like he is going to eat Plankton.
I want plankton meat!
Holy protozoa!
This puts Plankton very much on edge, but something that I also want to point out is, where does Mr. Krabs get this suit? I would kind of find it concerning if, my dad had a one-for-one suit of me, skin and all, and could do a perfect impression of me as he goes around harassing tiny creatures. That personally would send me over the edge into questioning everything about reality and why is there a skin suit on me? Just average things like that. So Mr. Krabs is just putting him in this constant state of mental torture. Plankton thinks he's losing his mind. His own wife doesn't believe him. Plankton just sits in a chair rotting away because he doesn't want to go and face the world if there's that big meaty sperm whale trying to get him. He's having nightmares, and eventually he can't take it anymore. And this is where the episode truly does get a little bit disturbing. Obviously, it's played for laughs. Obviously, it's not taken too seriously, but genuinely, Plankton, he sits down on the ground and decides to wait for the bus because he wants to commit suicide.
I'll just be tortured for the rest of my life by that whale. That's it, I'm done. The 4:15 bus should be along any time now.
That is not something I would expect from a SpongeBob episode. Even SpongeBob walks over just being like, "Oh, Plankton, what are you doing, buddy? Laying here on the road?" And Plankton asks SpongeBob to step on him as hard as he can. Plankton is ready to end it all because of the mental strain and mental torture caused by none other than Eugene Krabs. SpongeBob eventually does tell Plankton what's going on, and so Plankton uses Mr. Krabs' fear of mimes to flip the situation, and I'm glad that Mr. Krabs had to suffer a little bit for this. But either way, Plankton's mental anguish and mental torture throughout this episode is, in a way, disturbing. Everything that he's put through is just a crazy level of harassment that led him to seeking death over trying to find a way to resolve this issue, and that is just a level of SpongeBob that I would never hope to see again. That does just rub me the wrong way, but this episode overall, entertainment-wise, is still pretty good. Powerpuff Girls is typically what I would associate as a lighthearted show, but the episode Speed Demon is anything but that. The episode is so fast-paced with the way it paints the Powerpuff Girls in such a horrid light, and it never seems to get better until like the last 15 seconds. The episode opens with all the girls just sitting in class. They're not having a very good time. They're excited to go to the Bahamas, and the second school is over, they decide to have a little bit of a race. So they start racing, they're going fast, and they accidentally travel into the future. And there's just nothing good. It just keeps getting more and more disturbing as the episode goes on. They initially try to go home, trying to find their dad, the professor, who is just a decrepit old man sitting there like, "Oh, my mind's playing tricks on me again. What is this? The girls, get away, you demons!" He's losing his absolute mind upon seeing his daughters. He does not recognize them anymore because it doesn't make any sense. How could they be there? And he just starts hallucinating, freaking out.
No, it can't be. Oh, my mind playing tricks on me again.
And they have to run away from the man that they love most. They start going and just flying around. Everything's destroyed. They find the mayor's office, and this one was so unhinged where they see the mayor's hat and his sash, and a woman just crying, pleading, begging for help, and just saying, please, why didn't you guys come? I told them to call the Powerpuff Girls. We needed them. And they're saying that they're here now as she grabs the mayor's hat and sash and just starts crying because he's dead. He's gone.
Give away, he's mine. Don't come any closer. He's mine, mine, mine.
And so the Powerpuff Girls, they run away again. They go to their school and they find their teacher, who for 50 years has been sitting there going, I saw them leave. I saw them leave that day. I saw them leave. 50 years, I saw them leave. And she's done nothing else as she's just withering away from existence. And that is when this demon dude shows up. I don't remember if he's just called the devil, Lucifer. I haven't watched Powerpuff Girls in a long time, but he just starts mocking them as the Powerpuff Girls start fighting him, realizing that it's all their fault. He says this, they're trying to beat him into a bloody pulp, but nothing is changing that. And that is when the entire town shows up, points their fingers, and blames the Powerpuff Girls for everything that went wrong, saying it's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault.
You weren't here. It's your fault. Your fault. Your fault.
And I honestly thought they were going to go the route of this being a dream, but no, the Powerpuff Girls, freaking out, crying, fly up into space, fly back down, and manage to go back into the past where everything is normal. And they just get the ending of, oh, glad we dodged that bullet. But Jesus, like, there was nothing good there. Like, that was just awful. Like, usually there's a whole thing where the Powerpuff Girls would, like, save the day in some kind of way, maybe by defeating that demon, but that's not what happened. Just the entire scene where they're all just pointing fingers and they're all decrepit and withered away. Their fingers are pointy and skinny, just saying it's all your fault, is all your fault, is just so unhinged. It just doesn't feel good, and it's by far one of the creepiest episodes of Powerpuff Girls. One of my favorite shows growing up was the original version of Teen Titans. There was something badass about the characters and the villains. The story was really well told. That easily made it one of my favorite superhero shows of all time. But one of the episodes that sticks out above all else as being the most disturbing is the episode Haunted. This episode focuses mainly on Robin's obsession over Slade, who at that point in the series was already dead. He fell into lava during his battle against Terra and Terra's sacrifice, and he was dead. But Robin, he can't seem to let that go, and that leads to what I like to call as a little bit of trolling. It's just kind of in the form of a very dark way. It's got some dark messages and dark themes that deal with Robin's PTSD and his just hyper fixation on finding Slade. He can't sleep, he stays up, he ruffles through all of Slade's stuff, and a mask just sprays out some dust at him. We don't really think much of this initially, but they eventually have to go and try to stop a villain known as Cinderblock. They're fighting, Robin gets knocked away, and that's when he sees Slade. His obsession is manifesting, and Slade is just running away from him and is just literally trolling him the entire time, just roasting Robin, saying he's slow, saying he's pathetic, and literally tells him that there are bombs everywhere all around the city and they're going to go off and cause a major earthquake.
Already out of breath? Don't tell me you've gotten soft. Save your energy. You're going to need it.
And so Robin is now kind of in a way of panic. He tells the other Titans, who don't really believe that Slade is fully real, but they trust Robin at this point, so they go with it and they go to look for all the bombs, while Robin is marching through the woods with Starfire. And that's when he sees Slade again. There are no bombs, there's nothing to be found, and Robin starts fighting Slade, and Starfire sees nobody. So Robin, attacking Slade, sees Slade sprint away, and sees Starfire do nothing about it. He grabs Starfire in anger, just anger taking over his body, asking why would you let him get away? And Starfire saying the words that there was nobody there still kind of gives me chills a little bit, because you truly do feel bad for Robin here, because you don't understand what's happening yet.
You are hurting me.
Slade ran right by you. How could you let him get away?
But, Robin, there was no one there.
but you as a viewer knows that Slade probably most likely is dead, but how is this happening? This eventually leads to Robin going out on his own, looking for Slade on his own, and having a literal brawl with him. And one thing I have to highlight here, I wish that animated shows just looked like this all the time. This is actually animated better than the majority of Invincible is. There's not a single PNG just floating across the screen. It's kind of baffling, but either way, beautiful fight between Robin and what we think is Slade, where Robin is genuinely getting his ass kicked. The Titans do eventually arrive there, seeing that there is once again nobody there, and they keep on questioning Robin, while Robin starts just slowly getting more demented, slowly losing more of his mind, and he's willing to attack his friends if it means that he could find Slade, so Starfire takes him out.
I'm the only one who can, and I'll take down anyone who gets in my way.
So Robin wakes up, he's got a bunch of things attached to him to monitor his heart rate and his vitals, and he's just alone in the dark while the Titans are arguing, and this is just so scary and awful. Can you imagine your biggest rival, the guy you've been obsessing over, the guy you've been thinking about, the guy you want so bad in your life, just standing above you with an electric taser as you can't move? So Robin panics, he manages to get out of his restraints and starts looking for Slade again, once in the darkness. This is where we see Raven look inside of Robin's mind as he's hunting Slade, and she sees that Robin truly does see Slade. It's not just a hallucination, it is real to Robin. So Robin's getting his ass kicked once again, and he has a moment of clarity that he only sees Slade in the dark. He realizes there was no bombs, there was none of that, and Slade isn't real. He turns on the lights, and Slade disappears.
You aren't real.
I'm real enough to finish you.
Lights out, Slade.
Now, the main reason this is so disturbing is watching Robin's mental state slowly decay, but the fact that it is real, and it's just a weird final troll by Slade from the grave, which is inherently so fucked up. He put a little bit of gas, a chemical, into his mask that if somebody decided to fondle it, to jiggle it after his passing, it would just put a chemical inside of them that would make them hallucinate Slade nonstop in the darkness, where Slade would just enter your mind and start roasting you into oblivion and beating the absolute shit out of you. Now, he was definitely in hell, just throwing it back, shaking major ass, watching Robin get his ass kicked by nothing, but that is just a crazy troll. But overall, this episode is really dark for Robin's PTSD of Slade, his PTSD of Slade, his just slow descent into madness, but it is overall a very good episode with very good fight scenes, great storytelling, and great progression for Robin as a character, and just showcases how fucking awesome the OG version of Teen Titans was. Being able to tell a serious story like this, which dives into those dark themes, is awesome on its own, but the way you convey it, it just amplifies it even more. I love this episode, and it's so good. One of my favorite shows of all time is Avatar: Last Airbender, and one of my favorite aspects of that show is the fact that it could appeal to children, be okay for children, but is not afraid to tackle some more mature themes. It doesn't view children as knuckle-dragging Neanderthals, and can still tell a very good, serious story without dumbing it down. And one of my favorite aspects of this is the horror aspect, which isn't very prevalent within Avatar, but there are some instances of this, and the major one that is honestly very disturbing is the entire concept of bloodbending. In the episode Puppet Master, we get to meet Hama, who seems like a very nice old woman, just like, "Oh, hello everybody! Oh, you're from the Water Tribe! Oh, we could be friends! Oh, yes!" And she seems like a nice person. But at the beginning of this episode, we hear Toph say that she hears screaming underneath the mountain.
Wait! Guys, did you hear that? I hear people under the mountain, and they're screaming.
Which in itself is something they should definitely be concerned about. I don't know why, even though they're telling horror stories, they would just brush that away. Toph, even if she's scared, she has never been known to lie about the things that she could hear with her literal toes, with her feet. But they just brush that away, they look past that, and they hang out with Hama. And Hama is a southern water tribe waterbender, and there hasn't been a lot of those, and so that's a very interesting concept. But she's able to teach Katara many different things, and she specifically wants to teach Katara Katara something under the full moon. So we have everybody in town except for Katara and Hama, and they eventually talk to this old man who was apparently during a full moon dragged away and was almost taken inside of this mountain, but the sun began to rise right before he went in, and he was able to escape a evil witch. Very interesting. And at the same time, we get to learn about what happened to Hama and the other southern water tribe women who were capable of waterbending. Now, throughout the entire series, you probably would have presumed that all the mothers and all the women in the southern water tribe were killed, were taken away, and are prisoners. It actually is such a much more gruesome fate for all of them, with them all being kidnapped, but all of them being put in prison cells, suspended above the air, far away from water, not being able to do anything. And Hama was one of these women. And every single full moon, she was able to unleash a power that she didn't know she had. Blood bending, which is such a disgusting, yet in a odd enough way, fucking awesome technique where you're able to reach inside somebody and control them with their blood, with the water in their bloodstream. And it's honestly so awful to watch limbs contort and crack as Hama controls people, eventually escaping the prison.
My cage were nothing more than skins filled with liquid, and I passed years developing the skill that would lead to my escape. Blood bending.
And she wants to take her revenge on the Fire Nation, so she has been kidnapping people, taking them underneath a mountain using blood bending. And the main thing that I love about the end of this episode that is still so disturbing is just how Hama has this deranged mentality that she must pass this ability on to Katara, trying to do everything to bring it out of her, trying to do everything to pass on this disgusting and vile technique of reaching inside of somebody else. And she does eventually succeed when Katara has to use it to stop Hama.
Congratulations, Katara. You're a bloodbender.
But it just breaks Katara having to do something like that, having to reach inside of somebody like that and control somebody like that. But Hama was truly a disgusting and twisted villain for doing everything that she did. But can you even blame her? Because she probably had so much PTSD. She spent so much time in that prison. All of her friends are dead, and she was alone in a colony of people that she believed was the primary cause of all of this. That in itself is very disturbing, and I know they touch on this a little bit more in The Legend of Korra with Amon and whatever that guy's name is. I don't remember much from Legend of Korra. Yukon doing bloodbending too, and that was disturbing in itself. Just bloodbending is a crazy technique, but I really love how Avatar The Last Airbender was able to tap into a little bit of a horror aspect, and I would have loved to see more of that, but still very disturbing stuff. Pink eye is definitely not a very fun disease. I mean, your eyes get all itchy, you develop a horrible crust over them, you feel sick as a dog, and when it comes down to it, if you have some evil friends, they'll take one look at you or they'll hear about it and be like, "Hey there, fecal eye! I heard you like putting poop in there. I got some for you." And it's just overall not a very fun time. So when I saw the Codename Kids Next Door episode, Operation Pink Eye, I kinda knew I was in for a rough time, but I didn't think it could possibly be this disturbing. The episode focuses mainly on number 2. He's a detective, just kinda, chubbing it, to say the least. He's eating a lot of apple crumb cake, and he's just sitting in an office just like, "Oh yeah, I'm the detective, I'm so handsome with my crumb cake, I solve all these cases." And Fanny, she walks over there and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing after class, laddie? You need to go to class now." And they get in a big tussle, a big argument, a big fight, and she leaves out of anger after kicking the shit out of him, and that is when number 2 hears a scream coming from the hall. He rushes over. Joe Palooka, another detective, is already on that case, and Fanny has been sprayed with pink eye and her eyes are already crusting over.
Found.
Pink eye.
Which is just such an insane thing. I can't believe anybody pitched that or thought of that. Can you imagine leaving your house and there is just a natural threat, a natural predator, just like old man Jenkins sitting in the bush like, oh, I'm gonna get these kids. I'm gonna spray them with some pink eye. Oh, they'll be feeling it then if they walk on my lawn. If that was just a natural threat in the real world, I probably wouldn't leave my house very much. So Eventually, number 2 is on the case. He's looking around. He's mainly just eating his apple crumb cake. Joe Palooka eventually attacks number 2. Number 2 chases him and gets Joe Palooka on the ropes. And that's when Joe Palooka is shot in the face and now has some crusty eyes. Good old Joe. I can't believe this is happening to him.
Joe, speak to me.
They rush him to the nurse. They rush him right away. And that's when number 2 looks around. He has a little bit of questions. He has a little bit of an inkling that something is wrong here. Where are all the other kids with pink eye? Where have they gone? The nurse seems a little bit suspicious. And that's when I put 2 and 2 together. When I saw those crumb cakes, and God, I wish I found out sooner. God, I wish I realized this sooner, because it just made it so disgusting, because number 2 has been eating it this whole time. The crust, it's not the most inherently disgusting thing ever put on a screen, but when you just know what it is and you know what it feels like, it's disgusting. It's eye boogers, it's eye crust, and number 2 has been eating it this whole time because he opens the door, and the nurse has been harvesting all of the crust off of all of the children for crumb cake. Crumb cake! That is just so unbelievably disturbing. I mean, crumb cake isn't even that hard to make, you fat lazy bitch. What kind of demented, desensitized way of baking is this? How do you even get into that? How do you take a look at somebody? Like, it had to be her getting pink eye initially first, right? And just being like, you know what this kind of looks like? It kind of looks like crumbs for a crumb cake. It doesn't really make any sense, does it? It's baffling, it's disturbing, and it violated every single fiber of my being. I did not like it. So number 2 and the nurse, they start battling a little bit, and that is when the nurse, realizing that she's not going to win this, I thought she was going to commit crusticide. Ha ha! That's a knee slapper right there. She sprays herself and she turns into crust, but apparently it was just to escape. She manages to get out of there, and the thing that makes this all the worse is the fact that number 2, after finding out that he's been eating crumb cake, complaining about it, fighting the nurse, he just thinks it's too good, and the episode ends with him chowing down on the leftover bits of crumb cake. Wow. That is definitely a disturbing episode if I've ever seen one. It is just so vile and so disgusting. And again, the pink eye itself isn't that gross in the episode. Like, the crust doesn't look that gross. The eyes don't look that gross. It's just the thought of it that really disturbs me. Now taking a look at what I consider to be the most disturbing episode of Invader Zim, it's the episode Dark Harvest. Now, in all honesty, I don't really see how this was able to air. The only thing that I could conjure up in my mind, is that whoever gives the big old thumbs up is probably somebody rich, probably somebody powerful, probably somebody who's been to a very specific island where they did some bad things, where they were probably doing some crazy things with some organs, and there are a lot of crazy things happening with organs in this episode that is, quite disturbing. So there was a gremlin, a man with his hunchback and a lot of money, just going, "Oh, I love organs. All of the youngsters have to also develop a fondness for organs. Of course this can air." And then we got one of the most disturbing episodes I've ever seen. The episode opens quite normally with Zim just making fun of humans' interiors, saying, "Oh, look at these infertile, pathetic human organs," as Dib gets a scanner that can see inside of Zim and showcases alien body parts. So Zim now has the threat of Dib showcasing that Zim has different organs, which would thus prove that he is an alien. So they're sitting in class, and because Zim has a pigeon on his head, he has to go to the nurse. So he leaves class, and that's when Zim does something I couldn't have even remotely expected. I know that he needed organs, I just didn't think he would be so upfront with it, to say the least. He runs into this ginger kid sitting in the hallway, and he's just like, Hey buddy, where's your hall pass? Do you got a hall pass?" And Zim looks him up and down and is like, "Do you like your organs? Do you need your organs?" And this kid, just with a blank face, blank smile, is just like, "Right, organs for my body. Yeah, I like having my organs. I really do." So Zim he decides to take them as they start maniacally laughing together, and we see a lot of screaming as the kid begins to walk out of the hallway. And I've never seen a shot like this where they zoom in on the child's belly button and zoom all the way through his belly button. It almost looks like we're watching the kid get a colonoscopy. If we didn't see it go into the stomach, I would assume I would be looking inside of a rectum. I genuinely would, but we're zooming in there and we see that his organ has been replaced with Zim's hall pass. Which is pretty disturbing all on its own, but it just gets worse after that. Dib, upon realizing that Zim has been gone for a while, breaks a pencil in half and just sticks it up his nose, just like, I really need to go to the nurse. It appears I have a pencil stuck in my nose. And the teacher's response is pretty funny. That was great.
Can I go to the nurse? How far in your brain? Pretty far.
So Dib starts the hunt for Zim, just going around, and we get to see more and more organs being taken. Like the receptionist lady, she loses her brain and starts foaming at the mouth. That's already a pretty crazy and disturbing image. I don't know how to feel about that. It kind of makes me feel a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. And so Zim just keeps going around stealing organs until it's eventually lunchtime, and that is when organs keep getting stolen left and right. And we get to see Zim and what he's become. And he's just a obese beached whale at this point. I couldn't believe how big this man has gotten. He has so many organs inside of him now that he has grown like 4 times the size. He's going to be eating at the Heart Attack Grill every single day, hoping that he just can't finish his meal to get some spankings from the nurses. That is just quite the big man. And what makes it even worse to watch is Dib is confronting him, and Zib is all like, what organs? As he throws up a literal intestine and has to suck it back into his mouth like a piece of spaghetti. Yeah, not my favorite visual, that's for sure. And so Dib, he vows to protect the last kid that still has organs, and he's walking with him, and the kid gets taken again, and it just turns into a full-on horror movie. I do love all the shots here. I think every single, like, pivot and darkness of Zim watching Dib as he goes into this little closet, this, like, storage closet, and is just sitting in there, just seeing birds and statues and taxidermy stuff as we get pans to Zim's face as he's watching him. It's pretty crazy, and it's pretty enjoyable, and it just cranks that horror of the aspect all the way up as Dib begins to run away, running as fast as he can, ultimately getting taken by big old fat obese Zim in one of the most horrific episodes of Invader Zim. It is just completely and utterly disturbing to actually see all of the organs be taken, getting to see what Zim has become with his big old fat body, literally being able to see the organs inside of him. It is crazy that this was allowed to air. I can't believe it. It's definitely one of the most disturbing episodes in all of fiction. The episode Jack in the Haunted House from Samurai Jack opens with a man, you'll never believe who it is, Jack, wandering through the forest. He's cold, it's windy, he's looking for some shelter, and he eventually stumbles upon a girl, sitting on a tree stump in the middle of the woods, just with her doll. And Jack tries to approach her, and she instantly runs away, dropping the doll. And Jack, he's a stud, he's a man of action. He begins sprinting after her like a goblin in the forest, just trying to give the doll back, eventually stumbling upon this big house in the middle of the forest. Jack, not really giving into fear, he walks up and he sees that the girl is clearly inside, so he tries to find a way in, eventually coming to a screen door, and he's like, oh, I can see the girl through the screen door. This is great news. He opens the screen door and the girl is not there. How peculiar. He walks in and he kicks a vase on the floor and it just rolls around, and eventually it causes Jack to have a vision of a woman screaming in terror. And I love the animation switch up for all of these vision scenes. It truly amplifies not only the disturbing parts of the episode, the horror aspects of the episode, but it truly just is such a great work of art just being thrown in. It doesn't take you out of it in any way, but it just amplifies the feelings that Jack is having upon seeing these visions, and you can completely understand the fear he feels because they just feel so intense when it switches to this black and white. I absolutely adore that. So he goes around the house still looking for this girl to give take back the doll. He keeps seeing more and more and more visions, but eventually does stumble upon the girl. It's just a girl who's very sad, is crying, and Jack vows to help her. Of course he does. He tries to take her out, and the door is gone. All of the windows are gone. So, of course, let's just sit here and take a little snooze after all of our exits have vanished. No need to panic. So they sleep, and Jack wakes up, and the girl is gone. He looks over, and he sees that a part of the house that wasn't normal before is now normal. Of course, let's just walk over there. So he walks over there, and there is an entire family sitting, eating, enjoying some tea, just living it up, living a good life. And they do convince Jack to sit down, have a little bit of tea, try to enjoy himself. And that is when the son of the family, Toby, starts rolling his eyes a little bit, just seeming a little bit out of it. I mean, some people might think he's about to do the Fenny nod, he's just took way too much, but in reality, he doesn't have a soul.
Must not be feeling well.
Nobody at this table except the little girl has a soul, and they all start rolling their eyes up. Just stuff starts foaming out of their mouths as they're getting sucked up into the air. And that is when this creature that I'm just going to call the Soul Eater just comes out of nowhere, and it is a dark, beastly dragon that now tries to take Jack's soul. And I absolutely love this scene. It just captures such a good horror feeling. It's dark, it's disturbing as Jack tries to run from it, eventually getting grabbed by all of its tentacles, getting his soul sucked out. And as his soul is sucked out, the entire screen glitches in a way like he's leaving the show, going into a different art form, and he's sucked into that world of black and white. But because he has his sword, he's able to get out of it, and we get one of the most intense and best battles in the entire series, where he's fighting this Soul Eater dragon in just such a awesome and badass animation form, where he's able to use his sword, eventually countering a fireball and defeating the dragon. It is so unbelievably badass, it's so cool, and his soul is returned to his body, and so are the rest of the little girl's family. And that is honestly an amazing way to end that. And obviously, I don't know how long the little girl was being used as a way to lure people to this haunted house, but that in itself is very awful and horrifying, that this little girl probably watched potentially her entire family lose all of their souls, and then was forced by that creature to potentially lure people to this house so that it could continuously get more and more souls. That is a crazy concept, but it was executed very well, and it is one of the most disturbing episodes of any animated series I have ever seen. When it comes to the most disturbing episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, some may say, "Return the slab!" But that scene is always followed up by, "What is your offer?" Which oddly enough makes it not that disturbing to me. But one episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog that stands out above the rest is the episode Freaky Fred. A episode that genuinely feels like it could be just a parallel to a sexual assault victim in a very odd way, and it's very hard to watch, even if it is just a man shaving a dog. The episode focuses on Fred, specifically the thoughts in Fred's head, as he goes on his way to visit some of his relatives today, and he is feeling quite naughty. Yeah, I don't like the way this guy talks. It makes me feel a certain way, like I'm gonna get violated. I don't like it. It looks like he'd come into my home and start grabbing my balls and being all like, "Ooh, naughty." Yeah, not a fan of that.
I said my name is Fred, and I've been very naughty.
So, he eventually gets to Courage's house. Muriel is all like, "Oh, Fred, oh yeah, Fred, oh, you're so beautiful here. Oh yes, come in, Fred." Letting this strange man into my home. I wouldn't let this man near a goddamn crack pipe. He is a freakazoid, man. He is not looking that great, and he's just, the entire time he's in this house, he's just monologuing, saying that he feels naughty. And yeah, it's all in his head, but he's just staring blankly, like, come on, like, somebody had to say something here, but It's when he sees Courage that all of a sudden I started to get very concerned, where he looks at him and he's like, that is when I saw a little doggy dog I did, and all of a sudden I was feeling naughty.
Dog, he spelled. D-O-G is what he spelled, and that's how I spell naughty.
And so, Courage, being a stand-up host, he's told to show Fred the bathroom. They go in there, and that is when the door locks. They can't get out. And hearing Fred look at Courage and just go, Courage.
Me to be quite naughty. Courage.
That filled me with an immense amount of dread that could not be expressed enough. I did not like that. And then we get to see all of these horrible and atrocious scenes where Fred is violating Courage by shaving him. He really likes to cut hair, that's his main thing, but, you know, it could be twisted and say that it's kind of, you know, relating to some much more serious topics in the way he's expressing it, the way he's going about it, and it makes you very uncomfortable. We get a lot of flashbacks in this episode of Fred violating people. He cut a little girl's hair too much, he cut a man's hair too much. He just couldn't help but to be naughty. And so we get to watch as Courage screams. Eventually there's a scene with just horrible, demented la 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 music as Courage is screaming, beckoning for help, and then there's pancakes in there, and Fred starts stuffing his mouth with pancakes to shut him up as he just continuously shaves him, just non-stop. And eventually, the psychiatric people, the anti-naughty people come and get Fred, but it wasn't soon enough. Poor Courage had been violated, used up, and is just a former shell of who he used to be, and it shows with his hairless body. I don't really think there's anything more disturbing in this episode than this episode. Obviously, I've seen some worse things, but it's just the feeling that this episode gives me. There's no comedy to it. I understand he's just shaving Courage's hair, but it's the fear in Courage's eyes, the powerlessness in Courage's eyes, how he can't do anything that makes it all the worse. It is by far one of the worst episodes I've ever seen in terms of the way that it makes me feel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I got a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit rash. I am a little bit sick while making this video. It's a bit tough, but powering through it to give you guys some good content. I hope you guys are enjoying the new format where I make longer videos, more well thought out videos instead of every single day. I am getting more consistent views compared to just sporadically uploading and getting less reviews, so I think that's a little bit better, but I got some good content on the way. I'm going to be doing a lot more top 10s because I'm having fun with that, and more in-depth videos, more in-depth looks at shows. Regular Show The Lost Tapes is coming. I'll be covering every single episode of that in cosplay, most likely, so that should be good. The Pops cosplay for 50k is coming on the horizon, I promise. It should be next week, so lots of good stuff on the way. I appreciate every single one of you. If you made it to the end of this video, here, that's a little smooch for you in a not parasocial way. Don't come a knocking because I won't let you in. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.